Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in again to Small Town Johnstown. I am Jenny,
And I'm Nick.
and today I'm here with Lexi, brand new business owner of Sweat RX. It's gonna be a spin studio
Mhm.
and maybe something else in the near
Yes.
future, but you
Mhm.
haven't even officially opened yet, so congratulations on
Thank
starting
you.
that.
Thank you.
So, how did you decide to open your own business?
Honestly, it was probably back in like 2020 when I really thought about, starting a spin studio. I went to Duquesne University, and that's kind of where my love for spin began. And I feel like the further I got into my career as a pharmacist here back home, and many of my friends, opening their own businesses really started to like influence me and push me to want to like take that step and go that route.
So you said you went to Duquesne for pharmacy.
Mhm.
So what was that like? And how did you take the jump from becoming a pharmacist? You make plenty of money doing that, living a bougie lifestyle. So why would you want to take another jump and take another risk and open your own business and just put more on your plate when you've already gone to school for like a million years
Yeah.
for that one thing?
I think for me, and I realized this the older I got and after I graduated pharmacy school, grew up middle income, middle class. My parents obviously not able to pay for my schooling, did tremendous amount of other things for me though throughout it. And for me, it's like a secondary form of income. So if I can eventually, be able to pay off those student loans and then get more equity somewhere else and have this other form of income, it'll make me feel more comfortable living my lifestyle. Because even now, like, I still like, yes, I make great money as a pharmacist, but, like, a lot of it goes back into my student loans, so I feel like
Mhm.
this way, it'll allow me then to eventually grow, and if I can grow and have, different various businesses or eventually, if pharmacy just isn't for me, I can try something else, and I love the profession of pharmacy, and where I work right now is fabulous, it's, like, the best job I've ever had. But with that being said, I do feel like there's more out there for me, and when it comes to health and fitness, I feel like as a healthcare provider, it goes kind of hand in hand, so I wanna, like, promote a healthy lifestyle while also still being a pharmacist, so
Yeah, so take me through your path through there, kind of how you got to school or why you wanted to become a pharmacist, and then how you got involved with spin, and then how it led you to the point where you're like, I'm just gonna open up my own spin
yeah.
studio.
Okay, so I graduated from Conemaugh Township High School in 2014, and Duquesne University is where I started in 2014 for my PharmD degree. It was a 6-year program. I did 2 years of pre-pharmacy, and after pre-pharmacy, you have to reapply to get into grad school, so pharmacy school. After I applied that first year that I was in there, my roommate at the time, her name's Mickey, we joined a professional pharmacy sorority called Kappa Epsilon. So with that, with sororities, which sororities were never like my thing. I was just like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm just gonna do it because there's girls in pharmacy and they can help me, with tests and exams and like help me get through school.
Yeah.
They had a social credit. So one of the social credits, it's like to get to know new people in the sorority was to go to a spin class. And the place was in Southside, so super close to campus, and it was called Six Cycle. So I looked at Mickey, I was like, all right, you die, I die, we die together. Let's
Yeah.
go to a spin class, and it'll be great. So we went to that spin class, and after that, hooked, automatically hooked. It was definitely hard, one of like the hardest things cardio wise that I've done working out. Mind you, prior to that, like I did not work out at all. Like I was
Mhm.
like maybe 100 pounds soaking wet. I was like a beanpole. Like in high school, I was like, I'm like 5'7", super skinny. It was like, so that was like a whole different world to me of like, wow, this is something where it's like in a group setting, but it's not like when I was in high school, I didn't really enjoy group sport activities, and that was primarily because with those group sports, I just, like, didn't fit in, I wasn't really good at it, like, I was always tall, lanky, wasn't very athletic.
Yeah.
So this was something where I could do in a group, but it was individualized. So I felt like, I can push myself or slow myself down based off of my own abilities. So that's kinda where I fell in love with spin. So after that, it was 2020 when I graduated from Duquesne, and I was like, "Oh, I have to move back home. Like, there's not gonna be anything back home
Did
that's
you always
like
want to move
like
back home?
this. I did. I'm homebody. Like, every weekend I'd go home. My parents, I love them. I get along with them so well. My brother, now my sister-in-law, who my brother married, they're all great. Like, I couldn't imagine living far away from them.
Mhm.
So yeah, I was like super like, okay, I want to go home, but I was like, oh, like there's nothing like Six Cycle around Johnstown. This stinks. Well, I actually ended up finding a spin studio out in Somerset called Summer Cycle, which they actually recently got bought out by Morgain's Elite Cycle.
Mhm.
And the owner of Summer Cycle, Molly, she is the district attorney, I believe, last I heard, for Somerset County.
Yeah.
She's great, love her. And Catherine, I believe her sister-in-law, they both, over multiple years, had Summer Cycle, and they were amazing. Molly actually went to Six Cycle because she was a Duquesne grad from law school,
Mhm.
and that's where she kind of started her love for spin as well. So when I found Summer Cycle and I learned all this, I was like, oh, this is great. I love this. Started going to their studio a little bit. I was waiting, they were expanding. And then I also found Wimber Fitness, down in Wimber for their spin studio. And then I actually ended up teaching at Wimber.
Oh,
So I taught there
I was
back.
gonna say, I remember
Yeah.
seeing pictures because there wasn't really any group classes that I had seen or heard of until
hmm
Winburst started doing that
Yes.
kinds of stuff.
Yes, and Wimber was awesome. So I taught there for, I want to say, almost 2 years. And I ended up leaving there because then I started getting into bodybuilding. And when you're in bodybuilding and you're in that phase of like cutting, losing all this weight, it's really hard when you have like a super hard like cardio workout like that to keep
Mhm.
up with it. And I was like, I can't give my clients 100% because I'm cutting all this weight. Like, I need to like step back. And so
Yeah.
I stopped teaching spin for a couple years because I did 2 bodybuilding shows in between, and then that's whenever after that, then I started with Redemption and was there for a whole year, and just spin has just always been a major part of my life. So probably from like 2020, Six Cycles, seeing that studio and being like, wow, this is great, and then coming to Johnstown and I'm like, dang, there's really nothing like this around
Mhm.
here.
Not until
Like,
recently.
no, that's what I mean. Like, there's spin studios, but like what I want to offer is like, I'm referring to it as like big city spin. So like what you
Mhm.
see at like Cycle Bar or Soul Cycle, where it's all rhythmic cycling. And that's really what I want to offer here. And I feel like is very much so like lacking in Johnstown.
Mhm.
So
so what's the difference between rhythmic cycling and typical cycling classes?
I feel like other people who aren't rhythmic spinners. So rhythmic cycling is you spin to the beat of the music. So whatever the RPMs or cadence is, you follow that along with the beat, and that's how you get people to start catching up with it. And then whenever you do, as you guys have been to my classes, the
Yeah.
different like choreography and stuff that you can instill in it. And I feel like that helps push people past a limit. So like you might go into a class where if it's not rhythmic, where they'll give you like, oh, let's start at a resistance of like 25%. And then they're doing things where if it's not to the beat, you might not be keeping up with it, or you might pull yourself back a little bit. Whereas I feel like rhythmic spinning really will push you to your max to get you, you know what I mean, to the best part that you can be physically. Now, granted, with rhythmic cycling, everyone's like, oh my gosh, it sounds insane. Like, am I going to die during spin class? I'm like, no, you can adjust it. You can stay seated the whole time. You don't have to do all the things. But like, when you reach that point of like, okay, like I'm rhythmic now, I can, stand up on the bike. I don't have to be seated the whole time. I can do all the choreo. Like, this is super cool, like interesting. And that's where I love to see when people start where they're, seated the whole time. And then within a month, they're doing everything beat for beat with me. And I'm like, this is awesome.
Yeah, I couldn't
Yeah.
imagine doing it any other way. Like if it wasn't to the
Yeah.
beat, because the few times I was off beat in your classes, I was like, I don't know what's going on. Like I
Yeah.
need to catch back up. Like I'm falling apart right now. But then once you get back on it,
Yeah.
it's so much easier, and you're definitely pushing yourself. But because you're like flowing along with the music,
Yeah.
it kind of comes easy after a while.
Yeah. And that's what I feel like many people here when they teach spin, some people aren't rhythmic. So when they don't do that, it's, a little harder for people. And to, uh, as you know, sitting on a bike, it hurts your butt.
It
And that's
does.
why I like to teach 80% of my classes, I say, are out of the saddle. So out of the seat. You're not hurting your butt. You're doing, a lot of stuff to push yourself. But again, it can be adjusted. So I think that's where around here, it's just been lacking with rhythmic studios to have that and have it across the board, every instructor teach the same way. And that's what I'm having. I'm having my girls go through training, like a boot camp with them, make sure they're up to par with everything, that they fully understand and grasp like the expectation of what they need to do. And as far as rhythmic cycling, and they're all just gonna excel and kill it. I can't wait for you guys to see it. I'm so excited.
So on the topic of butt hurting, when I first went to your class, I was the only male, but the last class I went to, there was a lot more male there. What have you done to adjust for the male cycling, because we are maybe a little bit more heavier on the other ends and a little more unbalanced, to lack of a better word, coordinated. So what are some things? Because I know when I did it, you'd be like, go back and be like, okay, and I would like lift the bike a little bit. And I'm like, oh well, this is where I die.
Like Nick's falling over.
I'm gonna knock the next person behind me out. What are some ways you've went and adjusted your courses to be more gender?
Yeah, and that's what I really want to push here with everybody that comes, that like it's not female dominated. Like I want as many men to come that are interested, because some guys are like, it's not just for me, but I'm like, you don't know until you try it, But I feel like a big thing with men, which I feel like you'd agree, is music selection.
Yeah.
So many people think, oh, spin, it's gonna be,
Taylor
all
Swift.
Taylor Swift, all Sabrina Carpenter, yeah, and that's fine. But I really try to do like EDM. I try to do pop punk. I do rap, and, not just female rap artists. So like I try to, switch it up and appeal to many different genres and, both male and female to make them feel comfortable to come in. I also, which I'm going to teach all of my instructors this as well, when men come in, reiterate to them, like, we're going to start at a resistance of 5.
Mhm.
But if you are male, if you have knee problems, or if this is too easier for you, crank it up.
Yeah.
Make it heavier. Make it harder. Because then when you're a heavier person, like you said, being male, you weigh more than most females, you're going to need a resistance that's heavier than like what I'm using, so you get the same workout. And I do feel like with all the bikes that I have too, I'm going to calibrate them all the time. The resistance, crazy how high it goes up with the resistance. And I know a lot of people have told me that are men, and also like if they're, male or female and they have knee problems, they're like, I need that added resistance so I can feel safe. And that's the best way, to be able to spin, is safety is your top priority. So with that, then you'll be able to push yourself more and prevent any sort of injury from going too quickly. So those are like definitely things that I'm trying to incorporate. I would love to eventually get a male instructor. There's no men that have ever reached out to me as far as instructing so far, but
I'll get there.
it'd be great. Yeah, come on, Nick. Come on. No, a year from now, mark my words.
When I get the 6-pack.
No. You don't need a 6-pack to teach spin. Nope. You don't need a 6-pack. That's one thing.
When I get as strong as Brandon is, that's when I'll start teaching spin.
Oh my gosh, you crack me up. Well, that's what he's like. I don't know. He's like, I'll come to your spin classes, but it's just not my thing. I'm like, it's okay. It's not for everybody, and
It's the
that's
support.
yeah, it's the support. And
Surprisingly, I mean to cut you off, but
No,
I
you're
had
good.
to not force, but persuade Jenny to come to spin because I was want to
It's-
check it out.
yeah.
She's like, oh, it's spin.
Yeah.
I was more of a yoga Pilates person, and I was like, spin class, because I see the Peloton videos,
Yeah.
and they got the new like Les Mis bikes at Planet Fitness, and I was like, not really my thing.
Yeah.
But I really like the rhythm to your class. I don't even know if we went to anyone else's class, just Lexi's class, so I can't really compare it to anything. But it was fun. It's just, yeah, my booty cheeks hurt after
Yes.
that first day, but it was definitely fun, and I liked it more than I thought I would.
Yeah.
Well, I had a misconception. I was like, oh, it's riding a bike. I'm just thinking like, oh, we're going in the mountains. All right, let's go. Nope.
And then Jenny's like, this is amazing. And Nick's like, no, I can't do it. I can't do it.
We just flip flop that. I don't think he understands how intense some women-based or women typical workouts can be. Because like,
Yeah.
yoga class, you
Oh,
were.
yeah.
Yeah, yoga is not. I do not like yoga. Yoga is not my thing.
I
Yeah,
underestimate the power of
I know.
these workouts. Seriously.
they do.
So I want to go back to your bodybuilding, since we're talking about strength and all of that. How do you get started in that, and how have you transitioned, I guess, out of that into
Yeah.
more spin?
So it's actually crazy. It would be 2 years ago now. When I did my last bodybuilding show, after I was done, it's very, very much a mind game. I will say that. Like, you view food as fuel. You're very like regimented. Your whole life revolves around it. It's like, okay, primary problem is I got to go to work. After work, when do I work out? When do I eat? When do I sleep? and that's your schedule, like very strict with that. After I was done and I like reverse dieted, which my reverse diet was like horrendous the last time around, it was not good because when you go from being that weight to then gaining a bunch of weight, and then it's a lot like the body dysmorphia of you're like, oh, I was used to myself being super shredded, but I know that that's not healthy, things like that.
Not long term, not sustainable.
No,
Yeah.
not at all. So then I was like, okay. At that point, I was like, well, I think I should get back into spin because I do miss it. Like, I didn't do a lot of it because I was literally lived on the Stairmaster. I don't know if you guys were at Planet that much at that point, but there were literally people who were like, oh, my friend Lexi Everhart, who's the lash artist, has Lux Aesthetics. She's like, oh, yeah, my one friend told me that she knows you because when she comes to Planet, you're on the Stairmaster and she leaves and you're still on it. I'm like, yeah, struggle bus right here. But that form of cardio, I like repulsive. Then I'm like, I don't want to be on the Stairmaster. I want to do cardio, but I don't want to do that. I'm not a big like runner or jogger, like I get shin splints, so I was like, I need to go back to spin. So I started teaching again, and that's where like the transition from like I feel like I'm like an all in or all out person. So like I was all into bodybuilding, got out of it after my show, and then I went all into spin. And I honestly can't tell you the last time I like lifted because all I do, because with spin it's a full body workout, which you guys know that. Like your legs are the primary one, but then with the choreo that we're doing, like you're utilizing your core. That's a big thing. And then we do arm stuff with weights. So I was like, there's really no need for me to go lift at the moment because I was teaching spin like four classes a week.
So you just
Yeah.
did all spin.
Yeah, pretty much. I tried like to find a balance with spin and weightlifting, but I feel like the days when I would do like I would do two back-to-back classes. So Mondays I'd double, Thursday I'd double. The next day I'd be like, oh, my legs are shot. And it would take like 2 days of recovery and then, oh, gotta teach spin the next day. And that didn't bother me at all because I love spin so much. But like with lifting, I definitely with teaching 4 classes a week haven't found a balance to like incorporate it both together. Is it possible? Yeah, but like I don't know. Like I was just like, oh, I'm all spin right now. So
I mean, if I was teaching 4 classes a week, I'd probably be able to lift once, maybe twice.
Yeah.
And that would be it for the week for
yeah. And that's where I think too another really nice thing about the studio, which I'm not gonna drop the location yet, but to give a little bit of a hint is it's very close to another gym that does have showers that are easily accessible to people. So people want to go, shower and they, if they're like done with spin, if it's an early morning class, or if they want to go, spin and then lift, like it's super close by, very convenient for many people. So I think that'll be another positive with it.
I feel like I would leave the cardio and leg day for spin then, and then just do like upper body for lifting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because spin would probably
You just
boost.
better hope Lexi doesn't pop out the weight. Start doing the pump.
5 minutes of like even the 4-pound weights. It's like, oh my gosh, my arms are gonna fall
never
off.
felt more weak than my shoulders.
It's
Class.
doing the little.
I was like, Lexi's making my shoulders feel like kind of like a toddler.
It gets super intense. Do not
Yeah.
underestimate the strength of the spin class.
Yeah. I feel like many people, that's what with guys too. I feel like guys are like, oh, it's cardio based. Why would I do it? And I'm like, it's a lot more to it. Just give it a chance. I always say to people, I'm like, give it 3 tries. Give it 3 classes. If you absolutely hate it, don't come back.
Yeah. I agree. I
Yeah.
think that's a good motto or good way to live. Give it a few tries, and if it's not for you, then
At least you can say you tried it.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I try with people.
but I tell them they're wrong because Lexi's classes are great.
Thank you.
So do you watch like film and stuff and other spin classes to kind of incorporate into your spin classes?
I have told my instructors a lot of times that if they want to incorporate like different choreography, Instagram and TikTok are 2 big things that you'll see many different instructors and studios post their stuff. And it's a great tool for them to use because many studios, like I said, that are big city spinning studios are all rhythmic. And the biggest thing is, I'll send them like the other day I sent Ashley, Missouri.
Yeah.
You guys know her. Yeah, I sent her a reel and I was like, "Oh, look at this." It was on Instagram. She's like, "Oh my gosh, it's making my head spin just looking at it." Because it was so much of like this like very long drawn out combo. And I'm like, "Well, if you break it into like little sections, like you can utilize parts of that and change it for what works for you." So that's the great thing. Like I told all the girls, I'm like, "You can do exactly what I do. You can do stuff completely different." I said, "As long as it's rhythmic, that's all I ask." So that's what, I utilize Instagram and TikTok I've used for other combos that I've come up with and made like variations of it, and it's super fun.
So how did you get trained or certified to be an instructor, and how are you planning on instructing the girls to do what you do? And make them feel like they know what they're doing and how to actually teach a class and come up with playlists and
Yes.
choreography and everything.
Yes. So I've already started with the girls having like sessions with like a couple of them together, and I've reviewed with them like how I come up with playlists, what I do as far as my choreography based on the cadence or the RPMs of a song. So a lot of it is like trial and error, like listening to the song, to the beat, and I tell them like you have to practice on the bike. When you first start, you need to be able to, feel that rhythm, and they have that in them, but I'm like, if you come up with choreo like in your head, say you're just driving in your car and you're like, oh, like I really think like this like shoulder tap would work with this really well. Then take it, write it down in your notes app,
Yeah.
come up to the studio, trial it out, and test it from there. So getting them used to that, going over little quirks of things that like, when you start a combo and you're doing something, you can't like go immediately into like if you're doing a shoulder tap, you can't just like throw that arm up. You have to like go down a beat and come back up. So going over like small things with them to get them up to par with the rhythmic side of it and working individually with them. I have another girl from Richland who used to teach at LA Fitness in a cycle bar. Her name's Alex Christ. She's super sweet. She's gonna come next week and help me with like a boot camp for all the girls to put them through to help them get again up to par with the rhythmic side of it, expectation wise. And then I do plan on once I open doing a soft opening and having, family and friends of the instructors come in, test out their classes with people that they're comfortable and confident around, and then going from there. Because I'm not just going to be like, oh, grand opening, here you go,
That's
throw you
smart,
into a
though,
class.
because I'd rather have like friends and family there
Yes.
than just a bunch of random people staring at me. And then if I screw up, it's like they're gonna hate this class and never
Yeah.
come in again.
Well, everyone messes up, and that's what I keep telling the girls because they're like, I'm so anxious. I'm like, how many times have you guys seen me mess up in class? Like, it's okay. You work through
Yeah.
it. If something happens, you change it up. I also offered to all of them, I was like, when you start teaching, I said, I will co-teach with you off the bike because I'm going to be teaching my own classes, so I can't be on a spin bike 20 times a week with them.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'd be dead, Nick. I'd be on the floor crawling around, actually.
Right,
Yeah.
so you gotta pick up your leg a little bit higher.
Yeah. But I told them, I was like, oh, like, I'll be in class with you, offering it. I said, I can either stand in the back, I can, like, make sure to cue you, like, count down, like, 3, 2, 1, go. Like, things like that, standing from afar, or I can be up with you, helping you, cueing you, like, 1, 2, 1, 2, all of that. A couple of them told me, they were like, I don't know, you might make me nervous if you're in my class. I'm like, okay, if you don't want me in there, I won't be in there, but, like, the offer's there. So, like, I'm really like, I've never owned a business before. I've never done this. So like it is a lot of trial and error, and I'm asking them actively like, "Hey, what are you most comfortable and confident with if I were to, come in and co-teach?" And some of them are like, "Yes." Others, like I said, are like, "No, you're going to make me feel awkward." The whole soft opening thing. They're like, "I think that's a great idea." Like, so it's people that we're confident around and we feel comfortable with versus, a bunch of like paying customers that we don't know at first coming in and then just scaring us. So that's where, yeah, I know.
All
That's
the
where,
instructors quit.
yeah, they're like, no, no. So, yeah, I think it'll be really good. And I'm trying to, push forward with that. And I think after all of these girls are like acquainted, and if I have, take more people on after that, I would do the same thing as far as instead of a soft opening, it's called a community ride. So, with like a community ride, you put someone through, a boot camp. So, they're like working with you for a couple weeks. And then once they get up to par, you offer free rides to people out in your community, ones that have already been to other classes, like with other instructors in Sweat RX, and they would be free, for those people to come and then be able to get that instructor acclimated. So give them like 3 or 4 community classes until we get them, capable to teach on their own in the confidence. So, yeah.
That sounds like a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you said that you've never owned a business before. What are some ways that you're taking as a new business owner to handle like social media? How you gonna do social media? What are some things that you may be learning
Yeah.
that you learned
I've
starting an opening business? The
I've learned
background of it.
Yeah, I've learned a lot of stuff. I actually hired a social media liaison, so her name is also Lexi. Lexi Everhart from Lux Aesthetics. She absolutely kills the social media game. She's amazing at what she does with lashing and with social media. When her and I first discussed me opening this business, she was like, "Oh yeah," she's like, "I'll do all your social media." She's like, "I'll make you reels, I'll do this, I'll do that." Like her whole idea was, posting that first initial video with like the short clip of the bikes to get people like kind of riled up over it of like, oh, what's happening, the mysteriousness. And then she's like, wait till like everything's done for a specific part. I'll tell you guys after the podcast for us to release then where it's located.
Yeah.
And do all of that. So it's like she's really the master behind all the social media stuff. Like it's the amount of stuff that she comes up with. I'm just like, you are so smart and intelligent, and I love this. And it just makes me so giddy and excited. So with that, the social media, I owe that all to her. None to me, all to Lexi, other Lexi. Lash Lexi. Yeah, Lash Lexi. That's her. And then other things with the business, like Jenny had asked me earlier actually about like how do you know like what to do as far as like the legal side of things and like filing for like, when you file for a business, you have to file under PA and then you have to get like an EIN through the IRS and there's all this other stuff that I have to get, for Spin Studio. Honestly, it's just like word of mouth. Like there's no like correct direct order of how to do it. There is a correct way. Now I'm still trying to figure everything out and make sure I do it legally so I don't get hit with a bunch of taxes or something at the end.
Your
Oh,
$30,000.
you'll be seeing me. I'll come on here crying. I'll be like, you guys, remember what I told you?
I made a mistake.
I'll be like, oh no. So yeah, it's just like trial and error and then like learning from other people who also have businesses or similar businesses. So
Yeah, there's a lot of small businesses popping up and a lot that have found success.
Mm-hmm.
And I do want to ask, did you get any kind of help or grants or anything, or did you just dive right in with your savings?
I ended up diving right in with my savings, and I did actually file for a loan through Jari. So right now, everything that I have, like I fronted with my own money. My savings are getting like a little low to the point for my comfort, because they say like save up for like 6+ months in case something happens. So
Yeah.
I'm like,
I mean, you're still better than most people, but yeah, you want to be safe.
yes. So that's why I'm like, oh, I don't know.
Everyone we know is in the negatives. $2,000.
Yeah, so I'm like, I was getting worried about that, and then many people were like, "Oh, reach out to Jari." So I got approved for a loan through them, and I'm gonna be working with them, which will be cool because they'll do like a ribbon cutting ceremony, with the Chamber of Commerce there too.
Yeah,
once
that's
that's
amazing.
all said and done. So, and they have a lot of opportunities through Jari as well. So I got a loan through them, and it's really nice because if you're applying for like a small business loan through them, you get approved for like X amount of money and you send in receipts and then they give you reimbursement for the receipts, which is great because even though I got approved for this amount, that might not be necessarily the amount that I have to pay back. So that's really great because like if you go through a bank and you get, a loan for like $5,000, then you have to pay that full amount back no matter what. Now, granted, if you don't use it, you can just automatically give it back to them. There might be like a little bit of interest on there.
Yeah.
But I was like really like that part of Jari where it's like, even though you get approved for this much, if you don't use it, then you don't have to worry about paying it back. So yeah, I am going through them. But right now, everything that I have, like I've fronted myself with money wise. So
That's awesome.
yes, I'm like, okay, when I started this, I was like, all right, can I feasibly do this? And I would have loved to do it without taking out a loan, but it's just right now with all the other, like, I shouldn't say little things, but stuff that just adds up that you don't
Yeah.
consider when you're first like, oh, I want to open up this small
I mean,
business.
yeah, you said you had like a lawyer helping you with contracts and
Yeah.
stuff. Like you wouldn't necessarily think of that right away.
Yeah.
That's got to be a lot of fees in
Yeah.
addition to buying the bikes and the rental space and all the other things you have to pay your instructor somehow
Yep.
eventually too. Like there's a lot that goes into it.
Yes. Yeah.
For sure.
So that's what I'm like slowly learning everything. But that's why I keep telling people, I'm like, I've never done this before. I don't know the first thing about owning a business. So please, if I'm doing something wrong or if I could change something or make it better, like constructive criticism, I'm all about it. Like I need it. So
Are you eventually gonna try and get some sponsors to help like put like sponsorships or like I know you said you worked at Redemption and they have like, the shoe sponsorship.
yeah. So I actually did get with Team, so it's like the shoe brand for spinning. I got a contract with them, so I'll be selling the Team shoes there. I'm also trying to get a wholesaler for energy drinks and then like protein snacks. So I have a big cooler that I got that I'm gonna put all of that in so people can come in like water, energy drink, protein drinks, things like that. As far as other contracts, I did talk to Russ and Hillary Brumbaugh from ProBody,
Mhm.
and they have that M2 pre-workout. So I think that's going to be in the works of like having that on my shelves there. So if people want to come and, purchase some pre-workout there, they can have some. So that'll be a really good one too. I'm trying really to promote small businesses in the area. Like obviously with Team with the shoe brand, it's a big one, but like there's no small business for like spin shoes around here. So
I think you'll be all right.
yeah, I'm very limited with that. But
My spin shoe business is done.
that's what I mean. I'm like, if there was someone around here, I'd rather promote small.
We can definitely lead you in some kind of directions. We met a lot of people doing this podcast
Yeah.
and stuff, and there's a lot of people that do collabs and different things like
Yeah.
that. I don't know anyone like we were saying that makes spin shoes,
Yeah.
and you're probably doing okay with the Pro Body Shop and everything.
Yeah.
But if we think of anyone, we'll
definitely.
send them.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
definitely. Because even like Katie Gutwald too from Simple Nutrition Meals, like I'm trying to talk with her of having it be like a drop off location too for her meals for people
That'd be so
when
cool.
they come in, and then yeah, so I have like a lot of stuff planned with other small businesses that I'm like very excited for, like which I will tell you guys after the podcast. Like, yeah.
Not to overwhelm you, but maybe eventually like a foundation, something would always be a good thing to really get your name out there.
So I actually have plans for a big thing in the fall that I want to do, which don't want to release that yet either. But
She's
with
got big plans.
Sorry.
with no. With that, I will say about this, it is going to be in remembrance of my very, very close friend, Kayla Bloom. She had an 18-month-old. His name was Easton. He tragically passed away at 18 months, and I want to do this in remembrance of him. And with that, it's going to be a big community outreach where I feel like it's going to be a great turnout. And I'm still throwing around how I want to donate the money or who or
Yeah.
what I want it to go through.
Yeah.
I'd love to do somebody local and change it every year if it's a family in need, if it's a person in need. So that's on the horizon, and her and I have been discussing that, and she's totally in agreement. With him when he passed, they did donate all of his organs, so I would like also CORE, see if I could reach out to CORE, which is for like organ recovery and donation, see if they would want to be involved in any way too with like the t-shirt design, things like that. So we do have some fun stuff planned for the fall too.
We'll add it to our list.
Lexi's not about the profit. Like you actually want
No.
to do good and
Yeah.
do the community well,
Mhm.
and like you said, give money or whatever it is
Yeah.
to a family or somebody in need.
Yeah.
So I think that speaks a lot about your
Research.
character too.
Yeah.
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 That
that's
does speak a lot about your character.
Yeah.
Putting you off.
So what gives you the confidence to come up with these big plans to just, let go and just drop everything and go ahead and start your own business? Like where do you get this, like how are you so inspired, and how are you able to create all these ideas and actually go through with them?
Take that jump.
Yeah, it's a big jump.
I feel like the biggest thing for me was my boyfriend Brandon. The one night I remember I came home and I was like very upset. And he just kind of looked at me and he was just like, "Why don't you do it?" He's like, "You can do it." He's like, "You're just doubting yourself." He's like, "All the time you said for years and years now that you want to open up a spin studio." He's like, "You have the means, you have the knowledge, you have the support, you have family, you have friends, so many people that would, be behind you to see you succeed." He's like, "Just do it." So I did.
Yeah.
That was literally like he was like there's been other people who've told me like, "Oh, I know you could do it. I know you could do it." But that's everyone has that self-doubt in them, of like, "Oh, well, was it going to be, do I have the time? Do I have the money? Do I have this? Do I have that?" And he literally was just like, You can do this. Like, I know you can." And he's like, "I'm not just telling you this to like make you feel good about yourself." He's like, "I fully believe in you." So if it wasn't for Brandon, we wouldn't be here.
Shout out to Brandon.
Yeah, shout out to Brandon.
Shot in the butt. Do it.
Yes. Yes.
Just play the video.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense though, because you can have a million people supporting you, but at the end of the day, you're gonna take the fall if the business goes through. You're the one fronting the money,
Yep.
having to organize everything, get all the contracts and permits and everything you need. So I'm glad that he pushed you though, because I'm very excited. I know when you left Redemption, everyone was saying a million different things, and then I was like, Lexi needs to do her own thing. She can't stop spinning. She needs to keep spinning. Or
Jenny needs you.
Jenny needs me.
indoor cycling.
Yes. I know.
So I was so excited, so looking forward to it. It needs to open tomorrow.
I know.
I'll be there.
I know you guys seriously want, you know where it's at, but
Yeah.
you should come up and check it out and
Cool.
look around a little bit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
free time when we're not podcasting.
Yeah. Not working. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, did it help a little bit that since Brandon has his own construction company to give you some?
Yes.
See, that might be a cheat code.
Yes. Yes. First you need to have a boyfriend who is a contractor. Then you can open up your own business.
Have somewhere that's like a mechanic.
Yeah. No, literally. Like, oh, speaking of mechanic, he's basically a mechanic too. Like, I've had car problems, he fixes it. Like, any problem in life I
Life
have.
hack.
Yes.
All right, Jenny.
Yes.
Short of this. I can't screw in a light bulb, let alone fix a car.
But yes, when he said the support system I have, like, he is a big part of it. Like, I could not be doing any of this if it wasn't for him. Like, and I mean that wholeheartedly. Like, he is such a kind, caring, loving person, and for the people he loves, he will do absolutely anything for you. You know, his friends, his family, like, it is amazing. And this Sweater X would not be here if it wasn't for Brandon Donald. That's what I told him. Yeah, he literally has his little in the window of the studio. It says Donald Construction. You know, I'm like,
his little logo.
oh, he's gonna get it. He's gonna get it. I told him, I was like, everyone needs to come in here and see your amazing work, and you know, get him more clients and people to come for him to get jobs.
Boost each other up.
I know.
Millionaires by next year.
Oh, I don't know about that.
We do need some stairs for the attic.
Brandon's the man.
So he can work in our house. You can come over anytime.
Yes, Donald Construction, putting the plug in for him. If you guys need him,
no, we will.
hire him.
So where did you get the name Sweater X? It's kind of linked to your pharmaceutical background, right?
Yes.
So tell me about that.
So sweat was kind of a generalized term, like I had told you earlier, to be able to branch out if I wanted to into other things, which you know
Coming
about.
soon.
Yes, coming soon, 6 to 12 months. So I didn't want to be limited to just spin indoor cycling. So I didn't want to do like cycle or things where people just thought, oh, it's just a general like spin studio. So with that, then I added the RX on the end of it because in pharmacy on like a prescription pad, it all says RX and it's Latin for thou shalt take. So yeah, that's what the little RX symbol means. So I wanted to put together the gym aspect plus the pharmacy aspect and just roll with it. I mean, I feel like some people get it. Some people are like, "Oh, what does that mean?" Because they don't know my pharmacy background. Then it can be kind of confusing. But yeah, I'm super excited though, and I can't wait. And it's just so like surreal now. And like the name, like I said, it was just something I thought of, and I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be great."
So how do you connect pharmacy and medications and different things like that to like the physical health? You know, just taking care of yourself, natural medicine like food, what you put in your body, and things. Like that.
So for me, my biggest motto as a pharmacist is, you know, if you can diet and exercise first, that's amazing. So then you don't have to utilize medication. But at the end of the day, the way I see it is if it improves your overall quality of life, utilize it. Me personally, I have familial hand tremors, so my hands shake a lot. I used to take propranolol for that. It was something that when I worked at Giant Eagle, because I was immunizing patients, you know, giving shots, obviously don't want to shake. Don't want people to think that I'm like afraid of giving a vaccine when I'm not. You know what I mean? It's just like I was literally born with my hands like this, like ever since I was like 8 years old shaking. So then I would take propranolol for it because it improved my overall quality of life. And it's the same thing that goes hand in hand, I feel like, with a lot of people now with mental health. If you have any sort of, you know, depression, anxiety, bipolar, schizophrenia, that is okay. Taking medication is okay. We need to get rid of that stigmatism. Utilize it to improve your overall quality of life. And it's the same thing that I can go into a spin. Utilize your body. You're able to move it. You're capable to move it. Instead of saying, oh, I have to work out, it's I get to work out. And see it as that and be able to utilize yourself in its fullest potential. And that's where I feel like so many people feel with medications that, you know, like, oh, I don't want to take this or that, which understandably, like certain things, you know, they're not needed when it comes to medication. But with other things, like I said, when it's mental health stuff, like people, it's okay, you know, and that's what I feel like with our generation. Like we're really trying to push now with men's mental health too.
Yeah.
There's such a huge stigmatism with that, and it upsets me, you know, as a pharmacist, because it's okay to take medication. I'm not the first person to sit here and say like, oh, you should take this, that, and the other, but I'm also not going to be one of those people that makes people feel like they're stigmatized by it.
Yeah.
So that's where I feel like it'll help with working out with your mental health, but then also to like be able to use it as a tool from me being a pharmacist. So if people come in, they're like, hey, like, you know, I just want to like confide in you, like I'm on this medication. Can you help me with anything regarding it? Or I have this question, X, Y, and Z. And it's like that's what I love about my profession is helping people that way.
Mm.
So I think too with, you know, working out, mental health, physical health, putting it hand in hand, it'll really help people with that. So that's why I love being a pharmacist and I love teaching
Yeah.
spin.
That's very important because
Yeah.
it all has to do with your health and well-being.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I love
no,
that.
I love it both.
If you do open another business, Lexi, you need to open a pickleball court.
A pickle, okay, I'll get right on that.
When you're highly successful with the construction and the spin class businesses.
Brandon's next project.
He loves pickleball, so
Does he? Because we love pickleball.
Yes,
he does love pickleball.
It just sucks there's no indoor pickleball court.
We're gonna open up next door.
Yeah.
Comment on her.
Yeah.
That's why we started this podcast overall, was to eventually get an indoor pickleball court.
You know what? And the day that you open up a pickleball court, I'm gonna come interview you guys and be like,
Yes.
so, tiny little microphone, how's it going?
Great. After smacking balls around.
That's awesome. Pickleball is great. I love pickleball. It's fun.
I know we're waiting for it to warm up so we can finally play again.
I know.
We're trying to we're gonna start up a league eventually. Ooh, that could be an idea.
See, Brandon had to like twist my arm to get me to play because I'm very much so one of those people like high school was super nerdy, like art nerd was not athletic at all. People are like, "Oh, like, you know, you're just because you're blonde and you're like a bodybuilder, like you must have been super popular." I'm like, "No, no." And I'm like, even now I'm still weird, okay? Like don't no, okay?
It's a facade.
Yeah, don't judge a book by its cover, okay? I feel like with any sort of sport, and especially when it's a new one like that, I feel like I'm automatically just gonna be like horrible at it. So he was like, "Come on, just play, just play." I'm like, "Fine, I'll do it." And I actually did like decent. I don't think I did like that great, but like it just I was never like hand-eye coordinated,
Mhm.
no. So like any like I said, organized sports, I was like, count me out. Used to play volleyball. I was a setter because I used to be super short. Then I shot up, and they're like, "Oh, you can hit now." I'm like, "Well, great. I don't know how to hit, so see you later."
Yeah.
No longer playing. Like,
Get hit in the face, you mean?
yeah, seriously. So that's what like I never
Yeah.
played many sports and was not athletic in high school. So this
Same.
Well, you can't be as bad as we saw some people play some pickleball.
Yeah,
so.
we've seen some of the worst of the worst. So I'm sure you're
We've
okay.
seen some bad coordination.
Brandon always says that I like don't talk myself up highly enough, but I'm like I don't think I'm that good.
I feel like I can relate to him for some things.
I'm like,
I don't know. I just don't like I don't know. I just don't like want to like exude like cockiness or confidence. I'd rather be like, yeah, I'm all right. I don't know. That's just how I am.
Gonna beat us,
Yeah.
sweep us,
She's like by herself with two paddles just going at it.
probably.
She's like, this is what you guys got?
And then it's like the whole if someone like hits it far and you have to run, I'm like I'm not a runner. Not a runner, not a track
Yeah.
star.
Not running out tracks.
Oh, there goes.
That's why we have a bag of balls with us, so we don't. We just-
Do you have a fanny pack, Nick? You need a fanny pack.
Yeah.
I should get one. That's
smart.
smart.
Good idea,
See?
Yeah,
Ideas.
unthinkable.
Yeah, and then you need to like put Nick on the front of it.
We're gonna sell fanny packs at our pickleball court.
Yeah.
We're opening up.
There you go.
See, I'm the opposite. I don't try and sound egotistical or confident. I just do as a person.
It's just
Yeah.
the personality is
Yeah.
way too
Yeah.
confident.
That's what it is.
No, you're just like a nice, genuine guy though. Like you've always been super nice. Like even when Brandon and I met you, you know, Planet Fitness, like you're very personable and nice and yeah. No, I don't think that's cocky or
Okay, well, it's
overconfident.
not
No.
cocky. It's all that matters.
No, huh?
Some people
No.
might take it the wrong way, but most people like you.
Most people. Yeah.
People.
Jenny's like, I don't know if I like you right now, but it's fine.
She's the most of that.
I'm the most critical of Nicholas. His yapperisms.
Yeah, Bruce.
I try to be personal with people. It's just nice.
You are. You both are. You're both super personable and nice.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We try. Do you have anything else to add? I feel like I got all the questions out that I wanted to get out.
I'm pretty good.
Good.
Yeah.
So to wrap up, just any more shout outs, any hints for the future, anything else you want to add, just plug at the end.
Oh, let me think here. So, mm, hopefully within like a week, you guys will know the location. That's gonna come out soon. I will have the instructors being released one by one eventually as well. Once the location drops, all the tea is gonna be spilled, all the details. And then, yeah, I don't think there's really much more to say with that. If you guys have any other like questions or things you need to ask me, let me know. Message us on Instagram, Facebook, whatever works. And yeah, I'm just super excited for this and very, very thankful. Like I said, many people will shout outs. I'll get to that now. So, like I said, Brandon, my boyfriend, Donald Construction Company, go check him out. He's great. Lexi Everhart from Lux Aesthetics, social media liaison, phenomenal. My mom and dad, brother, sister-in-law, all my friends, so many friends have shown up for me. It's insane. Like Brandon was like, when you start this business, you might have people text you and be like, "Oh, I'll help you out with whatever," but then, push comes to shove and you like ask them about it and then they're like, "Oh, I can't," which he's like, it's understandable. He's like, I'm not like shaming anyone or saying that's bad, but he's like, just don't expect everyone who said they'd help to come help.
Yeah.
Everyone who said they'd come help has helped. And even more people have offered that I haven't even asked because it's like I've had so much help that like Brandon's like, I have nothing left for people to do right now.
Yeah.
And it's amazing.
That's a
And
good problem to have.
yes, yes. And it makes me feel so loved and cared about that I'm just so excited to see what the future holds. And when he said like it, takes like a community behind you and it feels like with just friends and family, I already have that. And then so many people that are just excited to come and check it out. It's insane.
Mhm.
I'm so excited.
We're excited.
Yeah.
We'll be first in line.
I know. I can't wait for you guys to come.
Probably check it out soon. Not
Yeah.
yeah. Weekend, but we can definitely check it
Oh,
out.
yeah. No, once I'll let you guys know about the soft opening
Mhm.
details and things like that. So, yeah, super excited.
Right. Sounds good. Thank you for
Yeah.
talking with us.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
This is Lexi, business owner of the future soon-to-be Sweat Arctics.
The spinning empire, not franchise, or whatever.
Yeah, maybe. You never know.
Indoor cycling, guys.
Yeah.
Indoor cycling.
Not spin.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.